From the savannah to the Midland and the Atlantic, Ambazonia has risen to fall no more. Ambazonia rise.
Dear Ambazonians on the home front and diaspora.
Dear Ambazonia freedom fighters in the home front and in the diaspora.
The Ethics Commission of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is coming out to alert you that it is becoming more and more evident that the former British Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonians, will soon emerge as the newest nation in the world.
We are calling on all of us to start preparing to receive Ambazonia as parents prepare to receive their firstborn child. Malcolm X said, tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. We are already very educated, talented, and very rich in natural resources. Do all this guarantee a safe and prosperous Ambazonia? The answer is an emphatic no. Theodore Roosevelt said, to educate a person in the mind but not in morals is to educate a menace in society.
Ambazonians, it is time to start planning to restore our cultural and social values that characterize us as a people of good repute. Before our Republic to Cameroon invasion, we were respectful of each other, of the law, and of our culture. We earned our living through honest hard work, making clean money for ourselves.
Our values helped us to maximize the benefits of our natural resources as well as our human resources. Southern Cameroons were serene and clean, simply beautiful in spirit and in the physical. We all long for such a place to call home, and we can make it happen by God's grace.
Our local government areas and counties, are you prepared? Do you have an ethics commission in your local government areas, counties to serve as a moral compass for you? Do you have a copy of the Ambazonia Ethics Code and the Constitution?
All arms of government, do you have an ethics agency? Departments of DSS, HSS, Communications and IT, Education, DHACM, DFA and DEINR. Do you have ethics agency to serve as a moral compass for your departments?
Ambazonians, you need to know your rights by reading the Ethics Code and the Constitution.
Shame unethical behavior and reward good behavior in your communities. Hold leaders accountable. Be the watchdog of your communities and governments. See something, say something.
The church, you are the main research center of moral principles with the responsibility of moralizing the society. How effective are you outside the church building?
Maya Angelou said, when you know better, then you do better. Ambazonians, watch Ethics for an Emerging Ambazonia every Friday at 4 p.m. Amba time.
Exclusively on ABC Amba TV. Stay tuned.
I'm not moved champions and city area. Everybody else in the area. And city area. Let's go there. The champions and city area. Everybody and city area. And city area. We are champions. We are champions. We are champions. We are champions. Champions in all 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 champions in all.
The piece of cloth made in Ambazonia, a land brimming with history, courage, and the indomitable spirit of its people, a profound reflection of Ambazonia's collective identity and our unyielding struggle for freedom.
A full representation of who we are, what we are, the history, story, and the struggle. It's a piece of cloth you should have in your closet. It is woven into a rich tapestry of cultural heritage, traditions, and long-standing desire for self-determination. Proudly adorned with unique patterns and symbolizes unity in the Ambazonian people.
The cloth's patterns and colors mirror the courage and hope that fueled their aspirations for a brighter future. Each thread represented a story of bravery, sacrifice, and the unwavering commitment to justice.
The piece of cloth made in Ambazonia became more than just a garment. It transformed into a symbol of a call for recognition, worn proudly by Ambazonians and their allies worldwide. It carried a message: we exist and we deserve to be heard. As long as the cloth adorns chests and shoulders, the spirit of Ambazonia lives on, and the hope for a free and united land remains alive.
Greetings to the people of Ambazonia, and welcome once again to our program, Ethics for an Emerging Ambazonia. Today, we are going to be soaring very high. We have men of profile in the house. And before we do anything, I would like to crave the indulgence of these panelists who are in the house to say hello to all of you Ambazonians and to give you a word of hope. We shall not, and we must not, and we are not giving up. All right, I start with you, Barrister Tim. Can you just say a word of hello to the people of Ambazonia and the world that is watching us, and just greet them? I will get back.
Thank you, Pastor, for welcoming me
The
once
microphone
more.
is yours.
Yes, I believe almost everybody here knows me already, but we're here today to talk about ethics, something ethical. And from my age, we think that I'm old enough to know a lot more about the ethics of Ambazonia, former British Southern Cameroon. Again, thank you for having me. I hope everybody will learn something out of this struggle.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Barrister Fu.
Yes, sir. The noise from the phone from Barrister Tim. Okay. Thank you, Pastor Commando. Like Pastor Tim said, everybody should know Barrister Fru. We thank God for the Ethics Commission. The Ethics Commission is doing a great job by laying the foundation for a moral takeoff of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. We want to think that this very important commission will usher in the moral compass for the takeoff of a great nation like the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. And therefore, I greet all Ambazonians around the world watching us today. I greet all Ambazonians, especially in the home front, to say that take courage, take courage. Ambazonia will soon become a reality, and we will expect our younger people, because most of us are almost checking out. We will expect the growing generation to be prepared with the moral lessons, the moral inculcation that the ethics committee is unleashing now, so that we get prepared to receive the new nation. Thank you, Pastor Commando, for inviting us.
Thank you very much, Barrister and Barristers. Welcome once again to this program. As a way of introduction, we want to say that this year, Ethics for an Emerging Ambazonia is spotlighting on ethical issues plaguing Ambazonians at home and abroad. And the more Ambazonians engage in discussions on ethical issues now, the better our chances for a short transition period, or call it post recognition. Applied knowledge is power. There is no liberty without morality. We are equipping ourselves with the necessary knowledge during this period of war, so that when we get back home, as Barrister has just mentioned, we'll have no struggles as far as this area is concerned. Now, we'll go straight ahead. We had this ethics a fortnight ago, and we will not hesitate to just go ahead and ask Barrister Fru to give us a recap of what was discussed in the last ethics of a fortnight ago. Over to you, sir.
I don't know if I can remember what we discussed a fortnight ago. With all the events that have taken place, my brain is running short. But I think that we discussed the question of patriotism, the question of what are the moral conduct of the coming in either appointed or elected officials of Ambazonia, and what are those salient points that as we will take zero tolerance on. And Pastor Commando, I cannot remember exactly what we discussed last time. If you can remember, if you can kick my brains going, maybe I will come back in.
Yeah, I think what we actually expected was the headlines you have just given. For the people who listened last time, to get back and get to their thinking box, put up their thinking caps, and then come up with what you have just underlined as one of the panelists who was present during the fortnight. I want to really doff my cap for you, because even though you think your brain is failing with the multiplicity of things that are happening within the weeks after that episode, you can still remember the very important aspect of what is going to be the situation of our elected members, of our appointed members, as regards their moral, how do I call it, moral attitude towards the people that they are appointed or elected to govern. That is very, very important. Thank you very much. We'll end there for now. But today we will go ahead and get some discussion points, which we will continue to do. We'll go ahead, and this time around we'll ask Barrister Tim, what are some of the actions or decisions taken by La République and France that threatens our existence as a people. If you can just brief us on that, what we have seen, so that our people can also know that France is very much a part of what is disturbing us. Over to you, Barrister.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. You say this is ethics. We always start by
Yes.
defining what we mean by ethics. And there's a short definition of ethics. Ethics, we say all the time, is the moral compass of our society. The moral compass, what guides us to do the right and the wrong. And before we delve into that, we cannot do that what you are asking me to do without looking back a little bit at history. This is 2023, but we did not start today. We remember the colonial master camp, call it France, call it Germany, call it UK, or even France. They made institutions in place. And as far as Ambazonia is concerned, the British exceptionally, who got established there until we purportedly had independence, never attempted to infiltrate our institutions. Mostly the traditional institutions, they were kept intact. And that is the reason, the result letter of what they call indirect rule. The British administration was essentially indirect rule. They ruled through our institutions, our chiefs, our funds. And it was going so well, and it went so well. When we came to 1955 through 60, the government that we had in Boya sought to maintain them and strengthen the institution, the traditional institutions that we had as a moral compass, as a guide for our future country, hoping that we're going to get independence. Exceptionally, they created in the administration something they call the House of Chiefs. I'm not sure there was one in Nigeria. It was very, very unique with Southern Cameroons as a respect for the institution. They were not just to sit there and do tradition, they were assigned political roles, which were meant to evolve and bring us up. Now, let me forget about France. Came 1961, and things have changed and changed dramatically for the worse. And for the purpose of this discussion, you permit me to just choose a few things, and I will start with our traditional institutions. How the Republic has destroyed, I don't want to mention France there. Maybe the French, they are doing it under the influence of France, but they're actually doing it right there before us. They have destroyed our traditional and cultural institutions by making them political lackeys and national buffoons, as you find them today. And this is very important because this is the current news that we have. What is going on now? Sunday or Monday, there was this massacre in Bamenda, at Nachop. And the buffoonery of our traditional chiefs, it can be illustrated clearly without mincing words to what has happened or what they have done. When the Republic came, they purportedly abolished our House of Chiefs and other institutions. But under the pressure, they have attempted or claimed to attempt to reinstall some of those institutions. And this is what they have done to us. They've created a House of Chiefs somewhere in Bamenda, which House of Chiefs is nothing called the House of Chiefs. It's just a name. Even the chiefs themselves don't even know what it is. They have a certain person called the chairman of the House of Chiefs. And you can get all what I say in writing from the communique this so-called president of the House of Chiefs or chairman, whatever thing he calls himself, signed out and put it out there on behalf of their so-called chiefs, where he presides as the boss. First, It is written on headed paper. On that headed paper, those of us who have time to look at it, you can look at it later on. I have it right here. There is nothing to indicate anything traditional there. Absolutely nothing. 2, they don't even know what to call themselves. The headed paper bears to the left the English version of what they call House of Chiefs, and to the right, the French version because they're more bilingual. And what do they call the House of Chiefs in that document in French? It is called La House of Chiefs. In bold. La House of Chiefs in the French version of House of Chiefs. What does that mean? This thing appears in the round stamp. La House of Chiefs. And so, you see all these things happening as if they were coming from heaven. What no. Above all, this document is supposed to be signed by the president of the House of Chiefs. He signs his name there. And what does it bear? Nothing chieftaincy there. He signs as what? Under his signature, he puts administrateur civil. It's an administrateur civil. Font title? What does that mean?
Oh boy.
And above all, you see the content of the document. He is the spokesman. They are the spokesman. Let me call it an institution. That's the spokesperson institution of the regime. And what do they say? They call on those carrying arms. In other words, Ambazonia, that if they are not making a mistake, but they can never make a mistake there, to lay down their arms, go to the demonstration center as pleaded by the president. So they have become the spokesperson for the president. So this is an institution they have destroyed, and destroyed badly. And what have they done next? The next point I want to address on this. They have recruited our chiefs, send them to Enam and Sodo professional schools to be trained as what? To be trained as political manipulators, to be trained as experts in graft, and to be trained in national arrogance. Is this what we had in West Cameroon, in Southern Cameroon? Never. Did we ever have this sort of nonsense under the colonial rule, under the UK administration? Never. Did we ever have any such thing, even under the short period of the German administration? Never. And so that is where our chiefs have gone ethically. That's where we find ourselves today. I will come back to address whether we can salvage anything when I finish this summary. The second aspect of ethical buffoonery, ethical stupidity that they bring to us is in the management of public affairs. Those who take up public functions do it for the interest of the people they run. So the chiefs ruled in the interest of their kingdoms, of their chiefdoms, of their citizens. They didn't have much to do. They built community houses for the people. If you wanted to build a house, they came and do it together. The chief called the people to come and set you up. Even before schools came, they built the palace. They built the village assembly halls. That was their role. They took out on that. But what is public affairs today? In the administration of public affairs, they have taken our children. I want to deal with our children, our brothers and sisters, train them in ENAP and other professional schools to do what? To come out and become professional armed robbers, protected by the administration. They loot the treasury with impunity. That is what has become of our own society ethically. They commit crimes without fear of any punishment because punishment is not meant for them. In fact, among the people they train in now are our magistrates, court clerks, and so on, who have legalized theft and corruption in the legal system. It is ethical in any form or shape. No. Could this ever have happened in the British Southern Cameroon, Ambazonia? Never. Our magistrates were not trained in now. They didn't go through a formal training to become thieves. They call you onto the magistracy from the bar based on your moral competence. And so that's where we'll find the public management space corrupt, destroyed by Yaoundé. They have abolished all forms of public accountability, institutional investigations. In those days, we had commissions of inquiry set up to investigate wrongdoing in public administration. They have abolished it, stolen over the deed, because no one can question them. I remember, I've said this before on this forum, sometime where there was something they called the English Commission, that they would land and survey issues. There was the GCAM Commission, where they reported wrongdoing, they investigated, not just to punish the individuals, but to bring in corrections for the future. Can this ever happen in British Southern, in La Republic Cameroon? No. Shall it come back to us? Maybe. But for now, they have completely abolished it completely. And again, we live on morals. Remember, most of us of this age, we went to primary school. There was nothing even called government school. We went to mission schools, religious schools, like that. Some were Muslim schools, some were Christian schools. Those institutions form the moral fabric of our society. You went there, you did not just go to pray to go to heaven. No. You went there to learn how not to offend your neighbor, to learn how to handle public orders, to learn how to deal with your own friends and relatives. And what have they done? They have infiltrated the churches and our religious institutions, killed them, created a secret agency in the presidency who dishes out bribery to them to buy their speeches from the pulpit. How do they do it? Consciously or unconsciously, they buy them cars, expensive cars. In return for the support they give them while talking from the pulpit. The pulpit is a privileged place. When you take a stand at the pulpit, nobody is asking you questions. You are delivering a one-sided message. And this is where we find ourselves. We have found ourselves religiously, moderators of churches, bishops and priests, pastors and otherwise, consciously or unconsciously, corrupt to the core. They have turned their eyes, they have turned a blind eye to all the injustices that are done on people. Apparently because they have been silenced with the bribes, with what they received. Because the language is meaningful. The person who put it down, he who pays the piper, dictates the tune, did not make a mistake. If you write in a Pajero provided to you, you want to see the happenings in Garbo, you might give an honest report, but people perceive justice is already done. It should be seen to be done. People have the impression that he who pays the car for you because you could not go there on foot is behind what you're going to say. And if you don't do it, unfortunately in Cameroon, as you find it today, there's a consequence for not obeying the government, even by pastors, even by bishops. We all know how many Catholic bishops have died in Cameroon. Not just died, have been killed. How many missionaries have just been eliminated for daring to challenge what the regime is doing? Should these people accept to die. Of course, everybody values life. But remember, you're a pastor. A good shepherd is the one who gives his life up for the sheep, for the flock. If you don't do that, where you are preaching from the Quran, from the Bible, or wherever, from the church, from the cathedral, you have failed in your religious mission. How many Desmond Tutus do we have in Cameroon? Almost none. And I think if this information is correct, we were told a few days ago or yesterday, a certain guy, the bishop of Bafoussam, came down to Bamenda to see what has happened with the Nacho. Came to see it because the people who died in Nacho seem to have a particular identity. They seem to belong to some type of people. But religiously, they are human beings. They belong to the same God. We don't like killing. Sympathize. Show concern for the death in Nacho. Do same for the death in Kumba. Do same for the death in Gagbo. And how many can I mention? We have not seen the Bishop of Douala cross the border to mourn the killing of our innocent children. We never saw the Bishop of Douala or Bafoussam somewhere cross the Kumba to sympathize with the gunning down of our children. Whoever gunned them down is morally wrong. Where are we? They could not do it. We did not even demonstrate because this one's demonstrating in Bamenda. We never have demonstrated until later Africa authorized them. If you see demonstration in Cameroon publicly, it is authorized by the state. Again, why? Because you come out and denounce the people they don't like and join them in making the people you don't like their enemies. And the lesson I had a friend who was a people lawyer. He left his master, who was a very influential man. I asked him, bro, why are you leaving this man? He said, no. When I came to his chambers, this man wanted me to make his enemies mine. And I said, no, if I make your enemies mine, I will end up having more enemies than you because I will add your enemies to mine. I will have two in the number.
Which are not your enemies.
Yes. So this is where we find ourselves. This is where we are. Yes. The very foundation of our own society has been destroyed, completely destroyed. And so what has become of us ethically? All of us, most of us now are elderly. Our children paid school fees for us to go to Sase, to go to ballet, and those expensive schools. We want scholarship to go and study in England, to go and study in the United States, to go and study somewhere else abroad in France. And we came back and joined the system and became political lackeys. Abused the ethics that go with education. If I mention your name, I'm not hating you. I'm simply saying the truth. Who would imagine that Professor Ngole studied in the American University in Ronan and comes out to run a political school and spell out the nonsense he talks about us in the name of academics? Who will believe that Professor Julius Ngo ever made a doctorate degree in history if you listen to the interpretations he makes about this case? People, historians, who have sought to make their political opinion history. I'm told, and I hope this is not a lie, that Professor Julius Ngo is one of those people appointed to write the history of Cameroon in the way the government likes. Write the version of history the government wants you to do. And poor Professor Ngo. History.
Where is he from?
Well, he's an Anglophone.
Where is Professor Ngo from?
Professor
It's a Betty man.
It's a Betty man.
It's a Betty man.
My issue is not being history. My issue is the education we receive. An educated person should ought to tell the truth. History is history. History is not your opinion. Where did Professor Ngo Where did Professor Go ever learn in history? Can you show us the documented history that shows that the people so-called of the Northwest can no longer live with the people of the so-called Southwest? Where is it documented historically? How did this notion of Northwest and Southwest come about? Where is it documented? Professor Ngo, the historian, the former vice chancellor of a university. So this is where, because you see, we are dealing with history. Professor Ngo, Ngole, all of them, I'm challenging them only in terms of their education, not their ethnicity. Because we expect people educated to a certain level to tell the truth. And as we put it in pidgin English, and shame the devil. The devil is a liar. Tell the devil the truth, and you would have shamed him. And so we have ethically reduced our educated people to norms, to idiots, to political charlatans, to people
Wow.
of no worth in the name of politics, to political buffoons. And so that's where we are. Yes, the Republic has failed us ethically and failed us woefully. But shall we pick
Thank
the
you.
spoils from somewhere? I guess we would. That is subject for a different discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Barrister. You know, this topic is so elaborate that just the topic alone can close up this program. And it's very, very succinct what you are saying. I will not want to run some few comments because of our time, but it is, I didn't stop you because you are talking sense, and Ambazonian people should learn that what La Republic has done, the decisions they have taken to threaten our existence is so much. It's a whole book. It's a whole book. And talking about the chiefs, I think because some of them think that they are now educated and our former chiefs were not educated, all the values of our traditions are now outdated and they are dancing and licking the boots of their captors. Like you said, it's not only physical, it's also very much spiritual because I can't imagine people who are so educated to that point that they are being dragged on the mind. All right, we will, in fact, there are so many things, even getting into the church and taking away the morality of the church, that a bishop or a pastor or a priest will come from Babysam only this time around after 7 years of brutal killing, because some few people, that's still part of the destruction of La Republic, of our ethnicity. They think that they were going to go away with it. No, we have stood and we are standing. I will now cross over to our barrister. We know that we are reminding ourselves, like barrister talked about a commission of inquiry, which is not found today for any crime that is committed, and everything is just going the way it's going. But I want to ask Barrister Fru. Now, Barrister, can you tell us a little bit? Relationships generally have good and bad relationships. I don't want to talk about the bad memories. I want you to, sorry, can you talk to us about some of the good memories for Ambazonia since they joined La Republique? Some of the good memories, if I talk.
I thank you very much, Pastor Kobado. I don't know whether after listening to my senior colleague present a very fantastic report, I don't know whether I can sit here and tell you that there is some positive thing that has happened to Ambazonians since we joined, or if at all we joined La République du Cameroon. But I will do what I have to do given the topic. There are two presidents that have ruled the so-called Cameroon since independence of La République du Cameroon and also independence of the Southern Cameroons. You have Amadou Ahidjo and you have Paul Biya. Amadou Ahidjo pretended that we had a federation from 1961 to 1972, when he abolished the federation. But there is one, for every evil, there is some silver lining. One thing that Ahidjo did was that even though they had the agenda to assimilate us into the French system, Ahidjo was very careful, and he allowed our institutions to remain as they were for a while. Up to 1972, we still had the Southern Cameroon, but renamed West Cameroon. And there was nothing, as far as I can remember, called Northwest or Southwest. No. There was the West Cameroon, and the French Cameroon, were calling themselves East Cameroon from 1961 to 1972. He tried and left some of our institutions intact. For example, the parliament was still there with their prime minister, even though he always attempted and did change the prime minister without an election. Because in our system, for you to become the prime minister, you must have been elected a member of parliament. But when he removed Augustin Gomjoa and appointed the traitor Muna, Muna had never been a member of the House of Assembly of the Southern Cameroons. But at least that assembly remained until 1972. He left. There was the so-called House of Chiefs was there but dormant, but at least he did not officially close it like Bear did. Up to 1972, they were there. But he did gradually take away our economic live wires. The produce marketing board that was in the Southern Cameroons was gradually being taken without saying so. And that is why he took away the accounts, the money, and built that gigantic stupid thing you see in Douala that they call Melbourne ONCPB. But he left the institutions of coffee and cocoa running. He did not immediately assimilate us into his office national de commercialisation de produits agricoles, as they call it then in their language. Another thing that he left without adulteration was our educational system. Barrister Tim and myself, and of course those behind us, a few generations behind us, we enjoyed the educational system that the Southern Cameroon had in place. We went to mission schools. We went to the best secondary schools that the mission had. At that time, Ahidjo did not interfere in the religion or the missions of the Southern Cameroons, as it is now with the Funkies and the Nkias. But he did allow the educational system as he met it. And some of us went through some of the best secondary schools. We obtained some of the best results. And if a majority of us are here in America and are here in this revolution and fighting, thanks to the period that they did not interfere in our education. Because I went to Sacred Heart, but Tim is probably Bali or Sate, I would not know. But those are the top schools: Okoyong, Sase, Sacred Heart, Seka Baptist College, the PSS that were established. Ndu Baptist, yes, Ndu Baptist College, St. Bede's, St. Augustine, that were established by the mission because there was no interference in the politics was not in religion like it is, like Beer has done today. At least within that period, at least we had a solid educational background. The only technical college that belonged to the government stayed in the hands of the West Cameroon government up to 1972, as far as I can remember. And it is the school that brought us the number of engineers that we do have now. Even though some of the top engineers also came from the secondary schools that the mission ran, but at least he left the educational system intact. That is one positive thing that Ahijo did. I'm talking about Ahijo now because I cannot see anything positive that we can talk about in the era of Beer. Yes. Number two, Ahijo was very careful. He left the judicial system intact. There's this question of magistrates from ENAM did not start coming into the Southern Cameroons as magistrates. No. All of our magistrates were appointed from the bar. I can remember I met one who was who changed to a lawyer, Magistrate Nganje. That is the only one I know, I think. But from records, you have even Nigerian lawyers who were practicing in our territory that became judges, and they stayed judges even up to 1972. You have some of our prominent lawyers who were judges in the Southern Cameroon court without interference from Ahijo, without any crisscrossing of sending magistrates from the so-called ENAM into our system. But he gradually started doing that when he admitted some of our magistrates into some of our young people that had law degrees, and these law degrees finally came from the lone university that existed even when Ahijo was there, that University of Yaoundé. And they went and they were trained in ENAM. A few of them started coming around 1970, and because of the experience and the intellectual prowess of the lawyers that were magistrates in the West Cameroon and the Southern Cameroon courts, they developed some kind of competency as they came back. Because these were Ambazonians that were taken to ENAM. The first, I would say the first batch that came became some of the best magistrates that we had that stood by the common law. Even though they did very little of common law in Yaoundé, but because they met their senior brothers who were lawyers before becoming judges, and they learned from them. But by and large, people like Magistrate Asongani, Magistrate, I can still remember, the names are not coming because I was a kid then. You had people like some Nigerians who were in Ephraim, who was a magistrate in Kumba, Mate, and so on and so forth. They tried not to interfere with our judicial system. The common law was practiced without any law from the French side until after 1972.
Wow.
And Pastor Commando, I cannot tell you anything that positive that came from when Biya became president.
No, from your analysis, it's very clear. It's very, very clear.
Let me be frank with you. Unless somebody can get me right, nothing. In fact, all what Biya did was to dismantle the Southern Cameroons, to assimilate the Southern Cameroons completely. There was nothing positive. There's nothing positive that you asked Barrister to tell you that Biya did that was positive for the Southern Cameroons, or what you call West Cameroon, or whether they call it now Northwest, Southwest. With what Ahijo did, and there's a rumor that when Ahijo was living in Tobia, be very careful the way you handle Anglophones. That's the word he used. He was trying to pass a message to Biya to know that these people, if you push them around, you will not be happy. There are no people who, and reproduce. Yes, they don't cram, and they don't cram and reproduce. You have to be very careful.
Yeah.
And that is why Foncha and others survived under Ahijo for a while. Foncha actually left the system just one or 2 years before Biya, and he left the system because Ahijo called him and said he was going to abolish the federal structure. And that's when it dawned on Foncha that we are done, we are finished. And he left quietly. And went to Bamenda. I cannot see anything after 1982 that Biya has done when he came to power that I can say this is the positive thing that he did for us. Let me tell you, those of us who came and studied in the United States, I came to this country to study in 1977. Like most of our colleagues here, they came here much earlier, and we didn't have scholarships from Ahijo government, but at least they gave some assistance when you were going home. That assistance was on the books. And the first 2 years of Biya, he did not touch it. And yours truly benefited from the transportation of my property by ship and the tickets to return to Cameroon for me and my wife and my 2 children. And I'm just giving you the benefits of what Ahijo left. And those who came to the United States from day immemorial, before even 1961, were all Ambazonians. It was difficult to find anybody speaking French that came to study in America. It was difficult to come to America, just as it was difficult to go to Britain by French Cameroon people. It's only after Biya did what he did that he opened the way for Francophones to fill up this country and to fill up, of course, Britain and other places. Now,
with their corruption.
There is nothing on the books. There is nothing in policy. There's nothing. In fact, the worst destruction that took place in the Southern Cameroons came from the Biya regime.
Yeah. Wow.
He destroyed our educational system, starting with George Ngango. George Ngango wanted to abolish GCE and put GCE under what you call back. And the reaction from Ambazonia was swift and to the point. And they called in. But They now went gradually and infiltrated our educational system, brought in French people to come and teach in Ombe, and they were now teaching in Pidgin. Ombe was transformed to something else that we did not envisage. It was no longer the technical institutions that the Southern Cameroon had put together, and it was there up to 1972. It became something else. Teachers were being transferred from the French side into government schools in the Southern Cameroons. And my colleague left out a little point there. When in the days of Southern Cameroons, I was a kid, but I knew that in Bamenda you have the NA school. What does NA stand for? I believe it was Native Authority School. And that the Southern Cameroon created that school system for the local government areas to handle and train young people in the budget of the government. But by and large, all the education was run by the missions. The Catholics, the Basel mission changed to Presbyterian, Baptist, and those are the people that educated almost all of us of today. At least anybody who was educated, who went to higher education from 1972 down, came from mission schools. The only two things that Ahijo did, which was an assimilation agenda, and which turned out to be positive, a little bit positive, was the institution of the two bilingual secondary schools. The bilingual secondary school in Manowabe and the bilingual secondary school in Yaoundé. And they admitted Ambazonians in Manowabe and they admitted Ambazonians in Yaoundé. In Yaoundé. They taught both parties, both the French and the English, for French to be able to speak English, write English, and Ambazonians to be able to speak and write French. And I want to say that was a little bit of the good thing that Ahijo did for us in education. But by and large, he kept the educational system intact. Yeah, he did not, there was no crisscrossing of teachers from French to our side. There were in the judicial system, there was no free crossing of legal officers, magistrates, and so on. And also the registries remain what they were up to 1972. That is the only thing that I can remember for Ahijo. But for dear Pastor Commando, I go on record by saying there did nothing that we can say was positive for the Southern Cameroons, now Ambazonia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Barrister. You see, Ambazonians, I hope that you are all listening. Please, there are so many ways of getting in to listen to this particular episode. I can see on Facebook, about 35 of you are on Facebook. These are lessons that some of you should not be passive about. Our phone number is there on the line. The barristers are here. Please, you can use that opportunity and make a call. Oh, I see 45 now, 47. Yeah, they are coming in. In fact, invite other people, because these are lessons. I don't know how to call them. They are. Let me exaggerate by saying that these are lessons of eternal value. They only have eternal value to those who are still alive, because those of us who are passing, we are leaving them to those of you who are coming. So they have eternal value for anyone who is an Ambazonia and is willing to get into Ambazonia with the right mindset. Now, time is really fast running. The next segment we are going in, please, gentlemen, I know we have a lot of stuff to share with the people of Ambazonia. let's cut it so that we can finish up with the program. The outline of what we have today, so we can move forward. Unfortunately, there was to be a brief video. Our technical team is not there to put up that video for us to listen very briefly and then answer some of the questions that we're supposed to answer to help Ambazonians with what we are preparing the future for them to be. I'm so grateful that we are talking to people that saw a glimpse of the former glory of Ambazonia. And now I'll cross over to you, Barrister Tim, to tell us what are some of the shattered glories of Ambazonia, and why is it very important for us to pick up the pieces and then move on, like Barrister Fru has just told us the not the nucleus but the whole thing, where we were, the little bit that Ahijo managed, to reserve, and then this criminal now came in and completely used, I don't know, caterpillar to bulldoze everything. So in that case, anyway, what are some of the past glories that you can think of, and how can we pick up the pieces of that past glory? Please, if you want, if you wouldn't mind, 10 minutes. If we can
Well,
tarry
I
for
think
10
10
minutes, that
minutes
would be
is
enough for us today.
10 minutes is
I know
probably
there are
too
so
long.
many that you can talk for 1 hour,
Uh,
but because of limited time,
I want to say this.
yes,
Whatever
go
you
ahead.
did and Pobia completed was in furtherance with their assimilation policy.
Right,
That's
Correct.
their goal. We assimilate these people starting from this point to this point.
right.
And we're dealing with ethics. This is an ethical program. And we're trying to see what these people did to us. But as I also mentioned a few magistrates, let me remind ourselves that in 1961, the Chief Justice of British Southern Cameroon, West Cameroon call it, was Justice Ndele. Justice Ndele was the Chief Justice, what we call the President du Tribunal today in
Which
French.
Indele?
The one,
Justice Endele.
just
Samuel
not doctor,
Samuel Mufwa. Samuel Mufwa
yeah,
Listenge Endele.
doctor was a medical doctor. Justice
Oh,
Ndele
okay,
was a
Yes.
okay.
lawyer.
Yeah. All
They
right,
are trained
okay.
in London. I became
Mhm.
president, the chief judge of the West Cameroon
Oh,
High Court. I remained there when they purportedly abolished us. They took him to Yaoundé. He became the president of the administrative bench of the so-called Supreme Court. I think it was so frustrating. I came back to Boya as the president of the West Cameroon High Court. But that is not even all. As of 1960, we talk about justice. Most of the justices that we brought who were not trained in ENAM served for a while under the so-called unified system and all left on retirement or something. And most thought they could make life practicing as private lawyers. It did not succeed because the system could not allow them ethically even to succeed. Who are these people? I think all of us can remember Justice Nyo Wakai. He was in Bamenda there. He retired from the Supreme Court. Justice
Yeah, I remember him
Mbwagwa.
very well. I remember him. Yeah.
Justice Mbwagwa retired as the president of the
Mm-hmm.
Southwest Court of Appeal. Justice Jamsi retired in Bamenda. They
Mm-hmm.
all retired justices who
Mm-hmm.
became lawyers.
these were
Justice
lawyers.
Indela, yes,
Yeah.
Justice Indela, as I've just mentioned. J.P. Singanje, which Basin so I just mentioned. Mrs. Ebai,
Mm-hmm. Mrs. Ibai, yeah.
uh,
In Victoria.
Magistrate Doppin, Oliver
Mm-hmm.
Inglis. There were a chain of them, many more. But the
Yeah.
important thing is that when they retired, they thought they could make a career practicing law that they did before they became magistrates. They did not succeed because they were now practicing under the ENAM trained magistrates. It made life impossible. Even Justice Ndele, who was in Boya with me, did not find his feet The magistrate court run by these rascals training him one day. And so everything they did was in furtherance of their so-called assimilation.
Agenda.
You mentioned the bilingual grammar school. The bilingual grammar school, Moliko, or call it Manuwobe, and the one in Yaoundé, were set up for a purpose that they refused even to fulfill. I happen to have taught in the bilingual grammar school in Yaoundé, so I know it was. They were admitting, for example, they were admitting 60 from one, they were 30 Anglophones, 30 Francophones in both schools. The idea was that they were trying to train administrators who will come out and serve the people in both languages. But until today, right now that we speak, you cannot go to a prefecture, subprefecture in Bengui or somewhere in Kambe and sign a bilingual clerk there. They refused to implement it because they were not send a francophone. So it will get absorbed in as soon as possible. But as history will have it, we have said this before on these other programs. See, there's a saying that there's no way a python will successfully swallow a porcupine without dying with it. They attempted to swallow us. Unfortunately for them, for 60 years, they did not succeed.
Yeah.
There are only two options. Either they vomit out Ambazonia or they die with us.
Mm-hmm.
That is what we were told them. If you don't do this thing, you will never, Cameroon, as you know it, will never exist. And so we have to speak the spoils. It has taken 60 years for us to be where we are. Yes, but that's not the end of the world. 60 years is a long time, but we can recover. We have people, we still remember, late Ben Muna, who just died. It's not long, Ben Muna died, but before he died, he left us a message. Fight.
Mm-hmm.
Fight for your own. Yes, your parents made mistakes, but it's for you to fight and fight until you die. And so we shall recover. We shall reinstitute our ethics with reformation. Shall we reinstitute the House of Chiefs? Maybe, but shall it comprise of these Enam trained guys who come there and sign something called a House of Chiefs, the House of Chiefs? Shall we give them the same role to sit there and advocate for the political party of their choice? Not even of their choice. They didn't have a choice to belong to CPDM. They were forced to belong to it or lose their job. Shall we have all that in Ambazonia? No, I think we will not. And so that is the way picking the spoils. We know what went wrong. Luckily, some of us who are still alive can recite what went wrong. We put these lessons into the children who will survive us. And then they will continue the battle. And what we'll have in the future Ambazonia is going to be better than what we had even in Southern Cameroon. Again, I remember saying this. I remember there was a House of Chiefs. I don't remember a House of Chiefs in Nigeria, which was a British colony. Or even in Ghana, maybe they were there, but I don't remember it. But we were setting something very ideal for Africa. We were trying to set up a country, ideal with African culture, ideal with African institutions. Yes, they tried to stop it. They tried to cut the head of the snake, but they instead cut the tail, and the head survived, and the snake did not die. So, because of time, let me just end here. The spoils are many, but we'll speak them. We'll fix what we can fix, and we'll throw away what we can no longer fix and rebuild on a different foundation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Barrister. That was very precise. Well, Ambazonians, remember we are drawing to a close. Our phone number is on board. You can see it on your screen. Better call and ask your question, bring in your contribution, and at the end, no call me talk say we say barrister number day, we say this barrister number day, because maybe I no go give you na barrister number this for here now. Call you, talk for you, make all people in here want to learn. Wow, that was wonderful. Now let's cross over to you, Barrister Fru. I mean, when are they on board? When I'm on board with the two of you, I'm tempted to cross over time. Just that I don't want my boss to sack me. That I've not been very protocol, and of course we are on ethics, and ethics require that you should be very meticulous in the way we manage whatever is given to us, even plus time. Now, Barrister, I want to cross over to you. What can you say to our Ambazonian youths who are very indifferent and lukewarm concerning the happenings that are happening to our people? I know that some of them are traumatized as a result of what the ancients of days and the ancestors who are sitting on La Republic's government, they're telling them that the country is for the youths, but they, the ancestors, are still sitting there. So Ambazonian youths are getting very afraid. Anyway, I'm sorry. So what would you say to our youths who are very lukewarm as far as this fight is concerned? Barrister Fru,
Yes,
over to you.
Pastor Commando, I am running very late, but let me attempt.
Okay.
First, I must congratulate our youths for defending the freedom of the people of the Southern Cameroons. Because if you look at the Ambazonia Restoration Forces, they are all young people.
Mm-hmm.
They are all young people, and they are laying their lives to defend our freedom, all of us, both young and old. So I will be very careful not to chastise the young people. But I will say this. For those young people, what is happening? What is happening? Somebody has okay. Let me start all over again because I think there was some interference.
Yeah.
Okay, I started by congratulating our youth and thanking them for laying their lives for all of us, both the old and the young, in defending our freedoms. But I cannot sit here and chastise young people because they are sacrificing a lot in the home front. If you look at the Ambazonia Restoration Forces, they are all young people. They are all giving their all to ensure that we have back our sovereignty. We have independence, but our sovereignty is still dancing in the air. And these young people are giving their all, including their lives, to ensure that we are free. But there are a few young people, especially in the urban areas, who think that they know better than their counterparts who are giving their lives for all of us. They go around drinking Trantua in the quartiers in Yaoundé, Douala, and Bamenda, and even Boya, saying that when I think, saying that they are not some of them are even pretending to speak more French than the French people, and they think that they have arrived. But what they don't know is that their counterparts in the rural areas and even in some urban areas who took arms to defend this country, our beloved country, the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, are giving their lives for all of them. Let me take an example like what happened when Biya declared the war, and within 1 week he moved a battalion into Mafe. The people that he met and the resistance that he met were all young people. Even though they died in their number, they sacrificed for all of us. And because of their courage, all the other counties in Ambazonia took up the fight, and the fight is in the hands of young people. But for those few, I would say few, who are in this diaspora, most of them have cross the rivers are in this diaspora, and some in some urban areas in Cameroon and Ambazonia, who think that they can sit either on the fence or they take the sides of La Republic. I am calling on them to know that they and majority of their colleagues, the young people, are dying for all of us. So I'm not going to sit here and give a lesson of how young people have done this, have done that. Look at the draft in the United States that where we are. If we had our young people, the ones that are here now making money, making a lot of money, if we have only about 10% of them drafting, they will be able to help their colleagues, young people at the home front, who are dying for all of us, who are fighting every day. They are being beaten by mosquitoes in the bushes. To quote Atanganje, the bushes. They are defending the integrity, the territorial integrity of the homeland of Ambazonia. You who is here in America drinking beer, drinking from one circuit to the other, making a lot of money, working and making a lot of money, what is your contribution to the liberation struggle? If you cannot, I'm not asking you to take your flight and go back to fight, but I'm saying now that you are here and you are enjoying the fruits of freedom here, you have a moral duty to draft, to raise money and send to your brothers and sisters in the home front who are giving all every day. They are giving their all every day to defend your freedom. Because I'm sure that you one day want to go home. And if you go home to a free Ambazonia, it is because your brothers and sisters that are in the home front made it possible by fighting. All what we are talking here and doing all we are doing here, if the young people were not there in the home front, La Republic would have killed all our mothers and fathers, all our women, all our children, and you can see from the history of this war how they destroyed the babies that were supposed to be growing into young men. They killed children on their mother's back. They killed the women. They killed the old people. They burned old people in their homes. These are cruel Lucifers moving around the world called La République du Cameroon. Because they did that as a policy. But our young people who are already here, when I'm referring to young people, I'm referring to Ambazonian young people. They are here making good money. Good money. But they will not pay $1. $1.
And some of them came there as a result of Ambazonia under war with La République. And they gave them...
Not some of them, majority of them, Pastor, came here and used the struggle to obtain papers. Mm-hmm. And when they obtain papers, they turn their backs on the struggle. Mm-hmm. I am calling on every one of them to rethink and to know that their counterparts, their brothers and sisters at the home front are paying the price for all of us, and that they have a moral duty to give to those their brothers back there the means to fight and liberate the homeland, which is not what is happening today. Some of the rich Ambazonians here in the United States are young people. And older people too, who they call themselves millionaires here, but they have never thought that they could spare some of their millions to liberate the homeland from where he was born, where he grew up. Some of them even went to school under the English system that the Southern Cameroon government left. and yet they turn their back on the struggle. I'm
Wow.
using this forum now to call. I'm using this forum to call on them to come to the fold, send their own contribution for the liberation of the homeland. It's a moral duty, and if you don't do it, don't think that you will come home when Ambazonia is free and you just walk home. You will pay at the port of entry. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Barrister. Our time is fast spent. Barrister Tim will not let you go without making a comment on this same question. Barrister has actually defined that it is some youths. So go ahead, Barrister Tim, and let's get your input on this
Thank
particular
you.
subject.
Because of time, I would just make 1-2 sentences. Say, Pastor, you are also a church leader. And in terms of the church, all of us pray to go to heaven. But as we know, written in the Bible, the road to heaven was never an express highway. St. Stephen didn't go to heaven riding in a limousine.
No.
Neither did David. Neither did all those saints we see there. The journey is difficult. Yes, we shall overcome. We've lost people, and we'll continue to lose people, but like the journey to heaven, we shall overcome. Thank you.
Wow. We shall overcome. The journey is not in a limousine, neither is in a private jet. It is through hustles and hurdles. Well, Barrister Fru just mentioned the language of it's a bit late now, but Barrister Fru mentioned the action of Muna. Let's just hear him say something. We
On
may not.
federation.
People who talk about democracy must understand that a federation is the best form of democracy. If they don't understand, they need to go back to school. It's the best form of democracy.
His call to the President of the Republic.
The president can say what he wants. He doesn't make it. He's not God. He doesn't make it. The president of this country better wake up to the real fact. This country was united by purpose. It was not one and indivisible. It was united by the will of the people of the Southern Cameroon, not by the will of any other person.
What about the youths championing the cause?
The future is theirs. I'm 77. Mine is gone. I may die tomorrow. If they don't fight, our fathers will come from the graves to fight for them. They have the right to fight for it. The better fight, man. The better bloody fight. No liberty is gained by laying down and allowing people to work on you.
And the students held back at home.
Now, you have heard yourself from what he has said. You all have mentioned it. I think we'll just run a 1-1 comment of 2 minutes each, if possible, and then we'll call it quit for today. Then I'll now go ahead and conclude. Over to you, Barrister Fru, since you want to run out.
Yes, sir. We shall overcome, like my senior colleague has just said. We shall overcome. The Federal Republic of Ambazonia is going to be a reality very soon. That's why this Ethics Commission is so important, to lay the fabric, the moral fabric of our society. We have to start rebuilding from the ground up, because La Republique destroyed it completely. We have to lay the foundation and start building. And we have started already. We started with this interim government coming into being, and it will grow, and everything like the Ethics Commission, the moral fabric of society is being gradually built. Thank you very much for inviting me, Pastor Commando. I beg to take my leave. I am really running very late. Thank you.
Okay. Over to you, Barrister Tim.
My concluding remark is this, and this is a special message for pastors, preachers, and imams. Take from the Bible, even the Quran recognizes Moses. Remember, our journey is The journey of the
Yeah,
Israelites
yeah.
from Egypt.
I'm live on vision. I've heard.
The journey of the Israelites from Egypt to the Promised Land started with the plagues, or called the 7 plagues of Egypt. And what did God say? God told Moses, Moses, go tell Pharaoh to let my people go. These are the words of the mighty Lord, let my people go. Go down, go down, go down to Egypt and tell Pharaoh, Pharaoh, let my people go. He did. It didn't happen one day. There were 7 plagues, and they finally let the people go against their wishes. We are gone. We're not coming back. I've said before, the journey is difficult, but we're almost crossing the Red Sea if we're not yet crossed. Let our pastors do that. Let our bishops do that. Let our priests do that. Let them tell the truth. Go down to Egypt. Tell Pharaoh. Go down to Yaoundé. Tell Biya to let my people go. Thank you for having me.
Very much, Barrister. Thank you. Oh boy, I was talking to myself. Thank you very much, Barrister, for that. Uh, uh, I don't know. Barrister, anyway, all of us are pastors today. So, so we are going down to Yaoundé to tell Bia to let my people go. And unfortunately, pastors are missing out to tell the truth. And now Christians are the ones who are telling the truth. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to make a little switch right now. Ambazonians, we are switching our gears because the interim government actually expects us to know a segment of our code, of our ethics code. And this ethics code is to inform patriots when we have our nation, to inform us and to educate us when we have our nation. Ethics Commission decided to take the ethics code to the people by reading out a portion of it each time we meet. Today, we will read a portion of how government, how do I call it? How government, how government relates with the public, and that will be section 3(1) of the Ethics Commission. Um, um, can I call it law or book or ethics of code? Ethics code of ethics code. All right, section 1. It talks of section 3, paragraph is. I don't know which grammar they used to put it to, but just listen to me. Paragraph 3(1) of ethics code. It says promotional activities on behalf of other organizations or businesses. It is essential for elected members and employees of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia to maintain impartiality in their dealings with the public, including avoiding even the appearance of one party being favored over another. Elected members and employees shall not use or permit the use of their government position or title or any authority associated with their public office in any manner that could be construed to imply that the employee's agency or government sanctions or endorses his or her personal activities or those of another, or to endorse any product, service, or enterprise. If elected members and or employees are in doubt about the nature of such request, then they must refer the matter to the senior officials responsible. So that is section 3, article 1 of our ethics code. And it is on this note ladies and gentlemen, people of Ambazonia in particular, that we end our program on ethics for Ambazonian emerging nation. Thank you very much, and see you in a fortnight with another edition of our program, Ethics for an Emerging Ambazonia. God bless you.
From the savannah to the Midland and the Atlantic, Ambazonia has risen to fall no more. Ambazonia rise.
Dear Ambazonians on the home front and diaspora.
Dear Ambazonia freedom fighters in the home front and in the diaspora.
The Ethics Commission of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is coming out to alert you that it is becoming more and more evident that the former British Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonians, will soon emerge as the newest nation in the world.
We are calling on all of us to start preparing to receive Ambazonia as parents prepare to receive their firstborn child. Malcolm X said, "Tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today." We are already very educated, talented, and very rich in natural resources. Do all this guarantee a safe and prosperous Ambazonia? The answer is an emphatic no. Theodore Roosevelt said, "To educate a person in the mind but not in morals is to educate a menace in society."
Ambazonians, it is time to start planning to restore our cultural and social values that characterize us as a people of good repute. Before our Republic to Cameroon invasion, we were respectful of each other, of the law, and of our culture. We earned our living through honest hard work, making clean money for ourselves.
Our values helped us to maximize the benefits of our natural resources as well as our human resources. Southern Cameroons were serene and clean, simply beautiful in spirit and in the physical. We all long for such a place to call home, and we can make it happen by God's grace.
Our local government areas and counties, are you preparing? Do you have an ethics commission in your local government areas, counties to serve as a moral compass for you? Do you have a copy of the Ambazonia Ethics Code and the Constitution?
All arms of government, do you have an ethics agency? Departments of DSS, HSS, Communications and IT, Education, DHACM, DFA and DEINR. Do you have ethics agency to serve as a moral compass for your departments?
Ambazonians, you need to know your rights by reading the Ethics Code and the Constitution.
Shame unethical behavior and reward good behavior in your communities. Hold leaders accountable. Be the watchdog of your communities and governments. See something, say something.
The church, you are the main research center of moral principles with the responsibility of moralizing the society. How effective are you outside the church building?
Maya Angelou said, "When you know better, then you do better." Ambazonians, watch Ethics for an Emerging Ambazonia every Friday at 4 p.m. Amba time.
Exclusively on ABC Amba TV. Stay tuned.
Of cloth made in Ambazonia, a land brimming with history, courage, and the indomitable spirit of its people. a profound reflection of Ambazonia's collective identity and our unyielding struggle for freedom.
A full representation of who we are, what we are, the history, story, and the struggle. It's a piece of cloth you should have in your closet. It is woven into a rich tapestry of cultural heritage, traditions, and long-standing desire for self-determination, proudly adorned with unique patterns and symbolizes unity in the Ambazonian people.
The cloth's patterns and colors mirror the courage and hope that fueled their aspirations for a brighter future. Each thread represented a story of bravery, sacrifice, and the unwavering commitment to justice.
The piece of cloth, made in Ambazonia, became more than just a garment. It transformed into a symbol of a call for recognition,